Focus on Headline. And let's take a look at what major issues are making the headlines today on Focus on Headline. For this, joining us in the studio today, we have our reporters in Yoon Se-young and Cho Yoon-ha. Guys, welcome back.
Hello, happy first day of the second half of the year.
Are you really that happy?
Happy. It's an opportunity to take a step back and just analyze the first half of the year.
We're just getting older. Really? Is that what you think once the news...
Maybe make a new plans and just be ready to enjoy the rest of the year.
Did you follow up with your New Year's resolution?
I didn't make one.
Why are you making plans for the second half? You haven't followed suit. You haven't even followed suit with your New Year's resolution. You're already making plans for the second half. Well, always good to see.
I'm trying to be positive.
That's
here,
good.
SJ.
That is always good. That is always good. Because you know why? There's not a whole lot of positive news that's happening these days in the world today. And we're going to start off with one of those because despite all the financial issues that the people of North Korea are going through, North Korea continues their provocation. Once again, launching their ballistic missiles. According to the Joint Chiefs of Staff, North Korea launching 2 ballistic missiles early Monday morning in the northeast direction. However, questions about whether or not one of them was even a success. Hey, I'm going to start us off. Let's get the details of the latest North Korean provocation.
Sure. North Korea launched ballistic missiles into the East Sea early this morning, and this comes just 5 days after they claimed success of firing of a ballistic missile toward the East Sea on Wednesday. And the Joint Chiefs of Staff detected 2 ballistic missiles fired northeast from the Changyeon area in Hwanghae-namdo province at approximately 5:05 a.m. and 5:15 a.m. respectively. And the short-range ballistic missile fired at 5:05 a.m. flew approximately 600 kilometers, while the missile fired at 5:15 a.m. traveled about 120 kilometers. And the specifics of these missiles are currently under detailed analysis by South Korean and U.S. authorities.
There's always the question of what kind of ballistic missiles. As you know, depending on the type of missile that North Korea fires, a message directed towards either South Korea or Japan or even the United States, depending on the distance that it travels to. So what do we know the type of missiles that were launched on this Monday, Sam?
Yes, military authorities suspect that the missile fired first was a Hwasong-11 KN-23, also known as the North Korean Iskander, a mobile short-range ballistic missile system produced and deployed by the Russian military. And reports suggest that North Korea supplied this type of missile to Russia, leading experts to speculate that this test launch might have been intended to verify the performance of missiles meant for export to Russia. And the missile launched at 5:15 a.m. is also suspected to be a Hwasong-11, but may have failed in its test launch due to its shorter range. And the missile that traveled 600 kilometers landed in waters of Cheongjin, while the 120-kilometer missile is believed to have fallen on land, possibly towards Pyongyang, although pinpointing the exact location is challenging. And this missile launch could also be a response to the first trilateral multi-domain exercise Freedom Edge conducted by South Korea, the US, and Japan. And North Korea heavily criticized Freedom Edge conducted from June 27th to June 29th, claiming it demonstrated the establishment of an Asian NATO. And recently, North Korea has shown a pattern of complex provocations, including missile launches and sending propaganda trash balloons towards the south. But South Korean military authorities have avoided directly provoking or escalating tensions with North Korea, except for temporarily operating psychological warfare loudspeakers in border areas on June 9th. And the Joint Chiefs of Staff have stated that they are prepared to resume psychological broadcast against North Korea if necessary, depending on North Korea's actions, but North Korea continues its provocations.
Yeah, I mean, North Korea, in response to some of, the multi-domain trilateral exercise that we had over the weekend, they said there was going to be some sort of fresh counteractions, according to Kim Yo-jong. Didn't really see that, unless if you count the hypersonic missile test that also ended in a failure called, quote-unquote, fresh counteractions. But you're right, Seong. I mean, the Kaeon, the Hwasong-11 is long considered the ballistic missile that has been being shipped to Russia, although reports are also coming out from the UN that, some like 40 or so of these ballistic missiles were used by Russia during its war against Ukraine, they were saying that a lot of them actually also failed. And so, just because North Korea gives them these missiles doesn't mean that it's always which shows you the technology, the capabilities that North Korea has. And already, two out of the two, one failing, but for it to land inland, it's got to be quite concerning.
Right.
We're going to continue on with some more North Korean news here. North Korea's ruling Workers' Party of Korea holding its plenary meeting for the third day in a row on Sunday, as North Korea is doubling down on its cooperation, both militarily and economic cooperation and partnership with Russia. It is interesting to see what they will come up with in regards to its plans to strengthen its partnership with Moscow. Yunha, let's get more on this.
Sure. So yesterday was the third day of the 10th plenary meeting held by North Korea's ruling Workers' Party of Korea's 8th Central Committee. North Korea usually holds a party plenary meeting for a few days in June, a period during which the party congress is not held, for reviews of the party's performance for the first half of the year and the discussion and decision-making on main issues. The meeting began on Friday, and according to the Korean Central News Agency, 5 agenda items were approved by all members of the WPK Central Committee, but no other details have been disclosed. In the KCNA's English release, the agency said that, quote-unquote, the participants are intensifying the discussion while conducting an in-depth study of the draft resolutions to be submitted to the plenary meeting and thoroughly exploring ways to carry out the task for the second half of the year entrusted to their sectors and units. On the second day of the meeting on Saturday, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un joined the meeting to discuss and decide on a series of important immediate issues arising in maintaining the upturn in the comprehensive development of Korean-style socialism. Like said before, more eyes are on this meeting at this time, as it could be a venue where North Korea discusses details of its plans to gear up for the stepped-up cooperation with Russia and the follow-up of the recent signing of a comprehensive strategic partnership treaty.
Again, last week we had a interesting analysis from Dr. Pong Young-sik in regards to the comprehensive strategic partnership agreement between the leaders of North Korea and Russia, where he said, well, he's going to downplay the significance of it. Russia is not really... Russia basically played North Korea, is what Dr. Bong is saying, and that there's nothing to be really concerned about for the United States and South Korea. However, what is concerning is when you're purchasing these ammunitions, when you're purchasing these ballistic missiles, and you have foreign currency being flown into North Korea, where's that money going to? Certainly not going to feed the people. It's going to support its ballistic missile and nuclear program. That's the big concern here. But also, what is quite interesting is there was a photo of a North Korean official. Usually, if you're in North Korea, apparently almost everybody. Not just officials, but even people on special occasions that have to wear this pin, right? And usually the pins, there are 2 pins that people had to wear. They're pins with a picture of Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea, and Kim Jong-il, who is the son of Kim Jong-il. However, what they saw, Kim Il-sung, the son of Kim Il-sung, sorry. However, for the first time, we saw some photos published by the North Korea state-run KCNA. Officials now wearing a pin with the face of Kim Jong-un. This is a first and certainly a huge transition into who holds the absolute power there. Tell us more about this, Yuna.
Sure. So like you said, in a KCNA's article on this 10th plenary meeting by the ruling WPK's 8th Central Committee, a photo was published with the article showing a North Korean official wearing a pin with a portrait of Kim Jong-un. The pin was seen clipped on the official suit jackets, and it's been reported that all of the North Korean officials at the plenary meeting had the pin on their jackets. They all wore the party logo pin on the right lapel, and on the left chest wore the pin with Kim's face against a flag-shaped red background. So this confirms the use of the Kim Jong-un's portrait featuring pin in North Korea. Back in 2013, at inter-Korean working-level talks, North Korean officials confirmed before South Korean reporters that a pin featuring the portrait of Kim Jong-un was made in early 2012 in the round and square shapes. So this pin featuring the leader of the North is seen as a symbol of a cult of personality, and everyone everyone, like you said, from ordinary people to top officials in North Korea must wear this pin. This goes way back when the Kim Il-sung pin was first distributed in 1970. And in 1992, a pin featuring the portrait of Kim Jong-il was produced for his 50th birthday celebration. After Kim Jong-il's passing in 2011, the pins, including the portrait of both Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, have been distributed. But now we see the latest version of this pin includes only the portrait of Kim Jong-un. And according to an expert, this is, quote-unquote, an intensified effort in idolization, or North Korea's efforts to further solidify Kim's glorified status in North Korea.
Yeah, you know, one of the reports that have been coming out in recent years, actually, is they've been taking down portraits of his grandfather and his father in a lot of these key official offices or these buildings, right? The party buildings and things like that. And they're putting more emphasis on him because a lot of people are saying, well, you know, first of all, what I heard was there's a lot of the older generation of North Koreans who are reminiscing the first dictator, right? Because things were okay back then.
Right.
And then Kim Jong-il actually wasn't so good. You had the arduous march during the Kim Jong-il days. But a lot of people are saying that Kim Jong-un was so on the shadows of his grandfather that he started questioning whether or not the people truly loved him and worshipped him. And so there's been less and less and less emphasis on his grandfather and his father, and now we're seeing the shift right now. But
in the beginning, Kim Jong-un tried to follow his grandfather by like his hairstyle and attire and everything, gestures. Yes.
He's still got that hair. Would you guys be mad if I made pins and you guys all had to wear pins with my face on it?
Actually?
Yes.
I'll have to think about it.
Just wondering if people will get mad if you're forced to wear that.
Yeah, sure, why not?
This week, fierce clash between the ruling and opposition parties expected to unfold, starting with the Parliamentary Steering Committee meeting this week. Today, on Monday, we had the heated debate erupt in the committee over the allegations of investigative interference in the death of Marine Corporal Choi Soo-gun. There's been allegations at the top office, including potentially President Yoon was interfering in the investigations there. Sang, let's get the latest on this.
Sure. For the first time since the opening of the 22nd National Assembly, it convened the first session of Parliamentary Steering Committee at the National Assembly on this Monday. And the first meeting held this morning included a report from the presidential office. And the opposition, including the Democratic Party, continued its aggressive stance on issues such as the special probe bill for the Marine Corporal Choi Soo-gun, and it's also expected to continue bringing up the allegations of luxury gift acceptance by First Lady Kim Gun-hee. And the Democratic Party focused its questions on the truth behind the so-called rage incident where President Yoon Suk-yeol reportedly became angry upon learning that the Marine Corps investigation team had implicated former Marine Division Commander Im Sung-gun in negligent homicide. And they also scrutinized the allegations of investigative interference. Additionally, the Democratic Party maintained its stance on clarifying the credibility of the exploration process for the Yeongil-man Bay oil and gas development project directly announced by President Yoon. In response, the presidential office stated that any decision on the special counsel probe bill into Marine Corporal Choi's death should await the findings of the Anti-Corruption Investigation Office. It also dismissed the claims regarding First Lady Kim as politically motivated. And regarding the Yeongil-man Bay project, the presidential office described the opposition's suspicions as baseless.
The thing is, the big concern over dragging on a special probe into the death of Marine Corporal Choi Soo-gun is that I believe the records, the Marine records, are only kept for a year. And so I think it was like July 16th or 19th, mid-July is when the 1 year mark when he died from the
Yes,
rescue operations. And so the records are going to be wiped out, and which is why the main opposition parties are trying to pass this before the deadline, get as much of the evidence as possible. So it would actually make no sense, to be honest with you, to launch a special probe if there are no recordings left to be heard. But as mentioned earlier, this week is anticipated to see intense confrontations in the National Assembly, as we saw in the 21st National Assembly. But Sam, tell us what we can expect from this week's Parliamentary Steering Committee.
Well, issues on different topics will be dealt every day amid heated debates, and the Democratic Party is expected to continue to question the government on the special probe bill on marine death on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, economic issues such as high inflation will be addressed, while Thursday will focus on legislative conflict and social affairs during the government's questioning sessions. And the Democratic Party also plans to push forward with reporting the impeachment motion against Broadcasting Communication Commission Chairman Kim Hong-il in Tuesday's plenary session, aiming to vote on it in Thursday's session. Further, they intend to pass the Broadcasting Act, which includes provisions to make it difficult to replace the current NBC management, which has been critical of the current administration. And the People Power Party has announced plans to recommend that the president exercise his veto power if the Democratic Party forces through contentious bills in the plenary session. Now, with numerous political battles forecasted, the opening ceremony of the 22nd National Assembly, scheduled for this coming Friday, is expected to proceed amid intense partisan conflict.
So simply put, we're just going to see the same thing we saw in the 21st National Assembly, which is a shame because the 22nd general elections that took place this past April, what the voters were saying, listen, we're not necessarily voting for the DP because you guys did a fantastic job. In fact, you guys didn't do much at the National Assembly neither. It's just that we're very upset at some of the stuff that's been happening with the ruling PPP. And so we're going to vote for DP, but you have to really start acting up, acting much better on the National Assembly. This holds true for the PPP. However, we saw from the get-go, there was a lot of arguments over the chairmanship of the standing committee members and so forth, and bickering continues. Well, again, as the 22nd National Assembly is going to have its opening ceremony on Friday, we are expected to see still more conflicts within the rival parties. Bills that weren't passed by the 21st National Assembly are set to be reintroduced. In fact, the DP had pledged that they are going to continue to push forward a special probe bill into the investigation into Marine Corporal Che's death, among others, even though they were vetoed by President Yoon during the 21st National Assembly. Some 146 bills are to be proposed, including a bill to tackle the low birth rate, which I think is going to be one of the few bills that are going to have bipartisan support here. Yunha, tell us more about this.
Sure. So like you said, 146 bills will be reintroduced in the 22nd National Assembly. The Ministry of Government Legislation has already resubmitted 38 bills for legislation on Friday, and some 108 bills are to be submitted by next month. And these include bills to improve the livelihoods and invigorate economic activities of the people. The 38 bills that have been proposed to the National Assembly passed the cabinet and were approved by the president, and they include an amendment to the commercial law to introduce electronic shareholder meetings, which aims to protect the rights of minor stockholders and allow reducing the cost to hold shareholder meetings for businesses. Among bills submitted is an amendment to the Equal Employment Opportunity and Work-Family Balance Assistance Act. If passed, the amendment will increase employees' a child's age cap requirement to be entitled to the reduced work hour system for parents from the current 8 to 12 years old. And if an employee has any leftover period of their given parental leave, they can use the reduced work hour system for double the leftover period. The amendment also provides grounds to extend the number of days for infertility treatment leave from 3 to 6 days, and all these are in line with what President Yoon spoke of at the meeting of the Presidential Committee on the Low Birth Rate and Aging Population held last month. Now, 16 bills to support the youth economic activities are expected to be proposed to the National Assembly next month, such as a bill to allow minors to take the Certified Public Labor Attorney test.
Yeah, again, I mean, there were so many bills for the betterment of people's livelihoods that weren't passed because there were so much bickering going on in some of these other contentious issues. But I'm glad they're looking into the whole infertility, not just infertility treatment leave per se, but just support for the infertility treatment. Because yes, while it is true that there are a high number of people just unwilling to bring about kids in their life, there are also couples who want to, yet they can't. And so, you need support in that front there. Speaking of which, probably one of the most concerning issues surrounding South Korea is the population crisis that we're currently going through. Not only are we seeing a declining population, we are set to become a super aging society. We are seeing ultra low birth rates. Well, to address this, a new vice ministerial level department, the Population Strategy Planning Department, is going to be established, covering comprehensive population policies, including low birth rate, aging, labor, and immigration. Sayang, let's get more on this.
Sure. The government is set to officially launch the Population Strategy Planning Department, a vice ministerial control tower aimed at addressing low birth rates and aging. Such announcement came out on this Monday following high-level party government consultations. And currently, the Ministry of Health and Welfare handles policies related to low birth rates, while the Presidential Committee on Aging Society and Population Policy oversees comprehensive government responses. But due to limitations, a significant overhaul was deemed necessary. And taking a look at its specific roles, designed as a powerful control tower for addressing low birth rates and aging, the department will focus on strategic planning and coordination similar to the former Economic Planning Board model. And the new department will also be responsible for planning, evaluation, budget allocation, and coordination, particularly serving the role of the Social Vice Prime Minister. And the Health and Welfare Ministry's low birth rate and aging-related policies and the Ministry of Economy and Finance's population-related mid to long-term national development strategies will be transferred to the new department. And sector-specific strategic and planning functions will also be established. Additionally, it will have prior review authorities over the low birth rate budget, with the Ministry of Economy and Finance expected to reflect the review results unless there are special circumstances. Meanwhile, the Presidential Office today also announced the establishment of a political affairs minister position in an effort to enhance effective communication between the National Assembly and the Presidential Office.
Again, I mean, there are those who are optimistic maybe that the government with these aggressive policies that maybe it will help out a bit. But as Professor Yang Jung-seok, our economics expert, has said, is if you look at a lot of the developed countries, countries with pretty big economies, they're all going through the same thing. It's just South Korea is going through it even worse than everyone else. It's gotten to a point. I know a producer from a different the broadcasting station. She contacted me. She said, I need to make a campaign for low birth rate, and I need to interview a family, a kid who has a younger sibling, right? And I was like, okay, so Aaron has a younger sister now. That's cool. But why are you contacting me? She said, you're the only person I know that has 2 kids.
Seriously?
And I started, are you kidding me? Out of all the people, I said, you know what?
Really?
Korea Now can proudly say Korea Now has the highest birth rate amongst all shows on Arirang radio. So I just want to put it there. If any government people want to issue us a nice little award
That's
here.
thanks to the wonderful working condition provided by the producer and writer.
You know what our writer said? You know what our writer said? You know what our writer said is the reason?
What did she say?
We just have older people.
Really?
That's not true, though. It's not true. It's the nice working environment that we have.
Not that old.
And Taeyong, you were able to come back to work, right?
Yes,
we had no worries about whether or not your job was going to be secure after you come back from your... That's right. Korea Now supports the recovery of our population. Let's switch gears to the economy. South Korea's exports continue to record gains for the 9 straight months in the month of June, according to data by the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy. This is largely thanks to a record high performance from the semiconductor sector. So, let's get the figures there.
Sure. In June, South Korea experienced a 9th month straight of gains in exports, according to the data of the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy. Outbound shipments grew 5.1% on year to $57 billion last month, while imports declined 7.5% to $49 billion last month. This all boils down to a trade surplus of $8 billion. And in terms of trade surplus, this is the 13th consecutive month South Korea scoring a trade surplus. Now, if we look at each sector, semiconductors jumped 50.9% on month to $13.4 billion, and June marked the 8th straight month for semiconductors year-on-year growth in export. The ministry's analysis points to the rising prices of memory chips coupled with concrete demand from the cloud computing and AI sectors as the source of the momentum. Automobiles, however, saw a 0.4% decrease in exports from year earlier to $6.2 billion due to fewer business days, while it was offset by the launch of new hybrid models. Petroleum products saw an 8.4% increase year-on-year to $3.6 billion, thanks to rising market prices and stronger demand for gasoline and aviation fuel. Mobile devices also advanced 3.9% to $1.06 billion after the affordable models were unveiled. Now, computers jumped 58.8% to $1.15 billion, with stronger demand from the United States and China. And by destination, exports to the U.S. increased by 14.7% year-over-year, the highest for any June, and this index has been newly surpassed by each month since last year's August. And exports to China also grew 1.8% year-on-year, driven by chips and displays, and this was the 4th consecutive monthly gain. Now, the half of this year passed, and if you look at the first 6-month period, exports advanced 9.1% to $334.8 billion year-over-year, and imports declined 6.5% to $311.7 billion. The trade surplus stood at $23.1 billion in the first half, the highest since reaching $31.1 billion during the same period in 2018.
Yeah, a number of things. These are obviously optimistic figures here, but it is good to see, the over 50% year-over-year increase in the semiconductor exports, but also I think there are some base effects to this because if you remember last year, the reason why exports were lagging so much was because there was low demand for semiconductors. But there's new technologies going on right now. AI chips are the big things now. HBMs are the big things now. So Samsung finally, I think they, for the first time in a really long time, they reported some profits in the first quarter of this year. You have SK Hynix that's doing relatively well too. So positive numbers all across here. Hopefully we could continue on, but some people are saying that we got to watch over the the increased ocean freight rates and other variables like supply chain issues as well. Today is July 1st. It is a new month. It is a new day of the week too. But also with the second half, there's also a lot of changes that are being implemented here in the country. This including something that we had talked about a few weeks ago, fuel tax cuts. It has been extended. However, the rate in which the cut is implemented has been reduced, which means there's going to be an increase in fuel prices by 41 won per liter for gasoline, 38 won per liter for diesel, and we had the announcement officially given by the Ministry of Economy and Finance. Seong, let's get latest on this.
Sure. Beginning today, the fuel tax on gasoline will rise from 615 won to 656 won per liter, while diesel will increase from 369 won to 407 won per liter. And the government extended the temporary fuel tax cut, originally set to expire at the end of last month, until the end of August. But to secure tax revenue, the extent of the fuel tax reduction has been scaled back. And the government plans to monitor fuel price trends until the end of August and then decide whether to continue the fuel tax reduction measures after September. And this is not welcome news for citizens already struggling with persistent high inflation, but there is a bit of relief as the government has decided to hold off on the previously considered slight increase in gas prices. Despite the significant unpaid balance owed to Korea Gas Corporation, the government has decided to freeze public utility rates to mitigate the impact on inflation. But there remains a possibility of an increase later this month, so we'll have to wait and see.
I did some calculation because these days, again, gas prices it's been going up, and I when I fill up, I flex. Right, the way to flex in 2024 is to fill your tank. Right, to fill it to the top, and it puts. I think I put in like about 44 liters or something like that to fill my tank. If you do 44 multiplied by 41, it comes out to about like 1,700 extra one. Right, which doesn't even get you an extra liter of gas anyways. It doesn't really make a huge difference. So we'll take it, right? At least as long as the tax cuts have been extended. I think it's extended till August 31st.
Right.
Another change that we're going to see starting today, if you're interested in the foreign exchange market, especially the $1 exchange market, it's going to be extended. It's going to go from 9 a.m. till 2 a.m. the following day. It used to be that it closes at 3:30 p.m. and just to ease those that are in the foreign exchange and also overseas investors as well. And this, again, part of some 233 different changes that we're seeing in the second half of this year. Yuna, tell us what this means for the foreign exchange market.
Sure. So starting today, Monday, the closing time of South Korea's foreign exchange market will be 2 a.m. the next day. This marks a huge change to increase the accessibility and efficiency of currency trading for foreign investors. With extended operating hours, foreign investors are now able to exchange US dollars for Korean won in real time. Foreign financial institutions abroad can also trade directly in the Korean foreign exchange market if they are qualified as a registered foreign institution, or what we call RFI. So with this, what's expected is more exchanges of global financial players in the Korean market, therefore enhanced liquidity and greater market depth. So this is quite a change in the financial system that was maintained as is since the 1997 Asian financial crisis. As significant as this change is, the Financial Supervisory Service with other authorities have thoroughly prepared for the change with 12 commercial and local banks that will operate extended hours. They looked into each bank to ensure enough staff for nighttime shifts as well as internal controls are in place and also emergency responses. According to guidelines by the FSS, foreign exchange transactions occurring between midnight and 2 a.m. are deemed as transactions of the same day. But on the settlement date, foreign exchange transactions after midnight will be recognized as transactions of the following day. Now, the hours for transactions between one and other foreign currencies will remain unchanged for stability and continuity in the broader foreign exchange market. So the change in the trading hours will allow foreign investors to trade for a longer period. The market is likely to gain more international capital, and this provides greater flexibility for investors in different time zones as well.
Another change that we're going to see, although there's so much more to talk about, but we're going to get into the big ones. Big news for parents out there of first grade elementary school kids out there, and also those who are seeking maybe some professional psychological counseling. We have new policies protected at the emotional well-beings of citizens, make the society more conducive to raising children, being implemented thanks to the Rilbom school project that has been expanded starting today. Sam, let's get more on this.
Sure. As you mentioned, starting on this Monday, a program providing professional psychological counseling services to citizens experiencing emotional difficulties such as depression and anxiety will be launched by providing vouchers for a total of 8 one-on-one face-to-face professional counseling sessions. Additionally, starting in the second semester, the 늘봄 School program, referring to extending after-school care with reformed education programs for elementary school students whose parents are both working, will be implemented for first graders in all 6,100 elementary schools nationwide. Additionally, from today, parents will be able to leave work 2 hours early every day for childcare while still receiving 100% of their regular wages with a salary cap of 2 million won. We're running out of time, so I can't introduce everything, but for more detailed information on these policies, you can also visit the Ministry of Economy and Finance's website and download the booklet.
So, you can't leave 2 hours early, right?
I can't. I'm a freelancer.
Yes. That's the big thing. That's the big thing. Is we need some some
at
policies.
least my husband can leave
that's
2 hours
right.
early. So yeah,
Poor guy.
it's a big help.
poor guy here. There's other changes to be seen in the second half of this year, mostly to help the livelihoods of the people there. But nevertheless, guys, thank you as always for your reports. Stay safe and stay cool, and we'll see you guys again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can listen to Korea Now with me, SJ Lee, by downloading the Arirang radio application or tune in online by visiting www.arirangradio.com. So make sure you tune in Mondays through Fridays, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Korea time.